The sugar consumption has really gone crazy. And I'm going to show you that our hormones are changing because of our habits. I'm going to prove to you that what makes your hormones go bad was your sugar, your carbohydrates. These are the main drivers of your metabolic status. If we want to make a dent to health today, we need to change our mind on what's causing us to be sick. It's your hormones. So let's look at our hormones here. You have anabolic hormones, which are your sex hormones and your growth hormones, and the big elephant in the room is insulin. Then you have your catabolic hormones, which are your thyroid, steroids, and glucagon. Although I'm going to make a very simple picture of your hormones, it's quite complicated actually. Because if your insulin levels go up, your growth hormone levels may go down, your sex hormones may go down, your thyroid hormones may go up, your steroids may go up, and your glucagon may go up. And then thyroid. Why are our thyroid hormones going crazy? It's because the body is trying to bring back homeostasis. There is hormonal imbalance in men and women left, right, and center today. That is because of that insulin. And what modulates your insulin the most is your diet. It's your sugar and your carbohydrates. They are the main drivers of your metabolic condition. That's driving atherosclerosis, diabetes, hypertension, obesity, dementia, and likely cancer as well. One root cause of a multitude of problems. And if you look at those problems, those are all man-made recent problems. These are all diseases of modern man. What's modern man doing? He is eating sugar and carbs. When we look at healthy populations around the world in the past, for example, the Inuits or the Maasai in Africa or the Pacific people, everybody was healthy when they're eating their ethnic foods. Some are eating a ton of meat only. That's all they eat is meat and milk, and they're healthy. They don't get coronary disease. They don't become obese. Then there are populations that only eat carbohydrates. That's all they eat. And they are perfectly healthy also. And then there are people who only eat fish. And they are perfectly healthy also. But when you look at all these populations, you'll say, you need to be on a Paleolithic diet. Look at those guys there. They eat a lot of carbohydrates. We should be eating all those carbs. So you get terribly confused and you're getting conflicting data on who should be eating what. But if you look at all these diets, you'll notice one thing. It's what they're not eating. And what they're not eating is refined carbohydrates, and they're not eating sugar. So this hormonally modified human beings nowadays, look what's happening to them. They have a low HDL, high triglyceride. Their waistline is big. They have high blood pressure, defined at 130/85 or more. They have high blood sugar. This is called metabolic syndrome. Insulin is a very powerful predictor of how well you're going to age. Why is that? Because you are as old as your arteries. And what's the most important thing that controls the health of your arteries? It's insulin. But if I brought your hemoglobin A1C down to 5.5 through my program, which is going to be complete abstinence from sugar, carbohydrates, and intermittent fasting, and bringing everything down and supplementing you and doing all the right things to you, I'll have a profound impact on you without any drugs or side effects of the drugs. Bring your A1C down to less than 5.5. Now, that is medicine. And by the way, that's not curing. What that is bringing the patient back to his normal way. That is fixing his insulin resistance. That is hormonally going back to the way you're supposed to be. And you know what? When you hormonally go back to normal, the body has the infinite intelligence to give you the health and body that you really deserve to have genetically. Did you know, if you look at all obese people, only about 30% have bad fat. So the others have healthy fat. They're not sick. They don't have metabolic syndrome. They don't have a low HDL and a high triglyceride. They just overweight, but they're otherwise healthy. Fat itself is not inflammatory, but bad fat is. The bad fats go to the liver first, then it goes to the pancreas, then it goes to your muscles, and then gets into the arteries. Then patients with high insulin levels, their growth hormone levels are low. Therefore, there's lack of repair. And they get increased catabolism, which means that the walls of the blood vessels break down. Why? because they have increased steroids as well. Insulin. This is the hidden parameter. If you really want to get a handle on your insulin, it's your diet. It is your diet. Just with simply cutting out the sugar and watching your diet. Cut out the fructose. So how did insulin levels get so high in the first place? Well, because you developed insulin resistance. So why did you get insulin resistance? Because you're eating too frequently. Because you got to eat 5 times a day, Isn't that the advice you were given? Disgusting advice given by authorities. I want you to all know that you got to take your health into your own hands and stop listening and start thinking. So what happens is your insulin levels go up, and before they get a chance to come down, they're up again. So all day long, your insulin levels are high, even right before you go to bed. So now your poor insulins are being bombarded by insulin all the time. Stop eating so frequently. You're supposed to feast and fast, but we don't do that anymore. And we have a phenomenal physiology in us for feasting and fasting and repairing. And we don't utilize that all the time. So we feast all the time. And therefore, you became hormonally modified human beings. Sugar is 50% glucose and 50% fructose. So the body breaks it down. Glucose, not too bad. Your body knows how to handle it. And glucose is utilized by every cell in the body. So you eat some glucose, let's say you ate a potato. It's going to be metabolized everywhere. A little bit will come to your liver, and you'll produce a little bit of fat from it, but most of your glucose got absorbed in your body. Fructose, on the other hand, cannot be utilized by any cell in your body except the liver. Did you know that liver is the only organ that can metabolize fructose? Your body cannot get any energy out of fructose. The only way you can get energy out of the fructose is have your liver converted to fat. Human sugar becomes fat? How many of you knew that eating a teaspoon of sugar or Coke, or soft drink I should say, that a can of soft drink will become fat in your body? Did any of you know that? This graphic is missed by parents, school teachers, administrators, politicians, policymakers, industry. Industry loves it. They are responsible for millions of unnecessary morbidities and mortalities. So the Europeans, what did they do? Oh, we're going to ban high fructose corn syrup. It's so bad for you. And they banned it. And all of us said, oh, look, they're so smart, they did it. But now they are all consuming sugar, thinking that they just did themselves a great favor, not realizing that sugar is just as bad as fructose. If you want to ban anything, you should ban both of them. What created this where you feel that one is better than the other, get rid of one? It's ignorance, because we don't realize they're both poisons. Now, stop stimulating insulin in your body. You must create low levels of insulin. How do you create low levels of insulin? Without drugs. You do it through diet and fasting. Now, what do I mean by fasting? Basically, you got to eat.
When was the last time you did a proper cleanse of your intestines? Maybe you do them often, maybe you've never done one. But
when you're hungry, I'm going to give you a summary of how I tell my patients to do it. Number one, for 2 weeks, you cut out all the sugars. So at the end of 2 weeks, all your cravings will be gone. Then after 2 weeks, randomly skip a meal here and there. Today, I'm not hungry, skip breakfast. Tomorrow, I'll skip lunch. Friday evening, I was really busy, skip the dinner. And when hunger does come, let's say you missed lunch and I got hungry at 2 o'clock. I'll drink a glass of water, or I'll have a black coffee, and half an hour later, my hunger's gone. You have to try it. Then you get up one morning and you'll say, this week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I'm just going to eat 1 meal a day. Or just 1 day a week. Try it for 1 day a week for another 2 weeks. Then go to 2 days a week. And then go to 3 days a week, and you can stop there. Because by then, most of you already start noticing how good you feel, how your sugar levels are better, maybe you lost weight, because your insulin levels will come down. When insulin levels come down, where's the first place you're going to lose weight? In your belly. To fasting, you're changing your hormones, your growth hormone levels, your epi levels, your steroid levels, everything is going to change. You will not lose so much muscle mass. You'll have brain-derived neurotropic factor. You'll be smarter, better, brighter. You'll feel better. And you'll lose fat in the right places. And you'll lose the skin together with the fat. You will remodel completely. If you just did these things, you will be extremely healthy. Avoid sugar, avoid fructose, avoid fine flour, and avoid vegetable seed oils made from seeds. That doesn't mean coconut oil. That doesn't mean olive oil, because that's made from the pulp. It means sunflower seed oil, soy oil, canola oil, all the oils that are manufactured. Those are the ones you must completely avoid. We've been putting the wrong fuel in the fuel tank. We've become hormonally modified. We can regain our hormonal status. And it's not just insulin. I'm telling you, I can talk for another 2 hours about your testosterone levels, menopause, about adult growth hormone deficiency, all these things, and they're all related one way or the other to everything that I've said over here.